Hey, welcome to Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women. In this presentation, we're going to talk about what pre-selection is, how it helps you attract your ideal woman, and I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can start applying this concept when you're interacting with women starting today. And so let's go ahead and start with what pre-selection actually means. So when I first heard about this concept, a couple of decades ago at this point, I was a little surprised by it. And as I continued to learn more and more about male-female dynamics and dating and attraction and relationships, I started to realize how powerful a force pre-selection actually is. And that's why I wanted to make a training about it for you. And so at this point, I realized that if a woman is interested in you when she first meets you, there are only 4 things that can raise her interest level, that make her interest in you go up instead of staying the same or going down, and she loses interest in you. So pre-selection is one of the factors that can make a woman more attracted to you or more interested in you than she was initially. And so there's only 4 of them, and this is a big one, so it's important to talk about it. And also, a lot of guys, when they learn about this concept, they try to apply it in ways that don't really work and can actually work against you. And so I want to talk about all of that as well, because this is very important when it comes to your success with women. So, okay, what is pre-selection if you haven't heard about it already? Well, it basically just means that if a woman believes that other women are interested in you, she gets more interested in you. So this is very interesting because it works in several ways. For example, if a woman hasn't met you yet, but she realizes that a lot of other women are interested in you, that might pique her interest in you as well. Not always, but it can work that way. Or if she's already interested in you a little bit and she finds out that other women are interested in you, that might raise her interest in you. Or when you're already in a relationship with a woman, if her interest starts to tick down a little bit, maybe you're not following the maintenance program that we talk about inside the attract and keep her system perfectly, and so her interest is kind of fallen a little bit, and you need to raise it back up. It can also help you raise her interest again if she still has romantic interest in you at that point, and you kind of casually bring up the idea of like, oh, hey, you know that woman Jenny at my work? Yeah, she asked me to have coffee with her today at work. It was really strange. So it can work in all 3 of those levels, and it's very interesting. And the most interesting thing about this for me is that it doesn't really seem to work on men the same way. And I was actually surprised that this was a factor in attraction for most females. So when I first learned this, it was extremely interesting for me because I had never thought about it before. Why does this work? This is a really good question. So why does pre-selection raise female interest? Well, here's the thing. Males and females in general are actively looking for different qualities from each other when they're seeking out a mate. And so what we're looking for, we obviously want to be physically attracted at first, and then we're looking for a few specific personality characteristics. Well, in general, females tend to put a lot more emphasis on those personality characteristics and your status and how you act in the world and who you are as a person. And it takes a lot longer for them to figure out if you're actually the guy that she thinks you are or not than it does for us in general, at least at first. This is how it usually works. It's not always the case. And here's the thing. The factors that attract one woman to you are the same exact factors that attract every other woman to you. And if a female has shown that she's interested in you, and maybe she's been out with you a couple of times or whatever, that's proof to other women that you have those qualities already. She doesn't have to test you because that other woman has already tested you. So if a woman has already chosen you and she's interested in you, she's already put you through those filters that all women are going to put you through. And so now the other women don't have to do that. You're already filtered. You're already pre-selected. Someone else already did all that work for her. That's kind of why it actually works. And it makes sense when you think about it from that angle, actually. So pre-selection works because women are kind of all putting you through the same filters. And if you already passed all those tests before with another woman, now all that work has been done already. And all the new women who might meet you don't have to put you through those tests. You've already been tested. So that's kind of the main principle behind why this actually works. And a couple of other ways to look at this, you can also say about pre-selection, it's easier to attract women when you already have one than it is when you have zero. And that's really interesting. If you have been in a long-term relationship before or you've been married before, you might actually notice that more women are paying attention to you after you get into that relationship or after you're married or they see your wedding ring. And that's because of pre-selection. And not only have you passed all the tests from the woman that you're with, and that works, it also makes you more relaxed and confident because you're not out there actively seeking a partner anymore. So when you're interacting with a woman and you already have a girlfriend or a wife, you're not trying to get her, and she interprets your behavior as confidence because you already have a woman you're not necessarily interested in pursuing something with her. And so just imagine if you acted that way when you were on a date, that you already have at least some other good options. That's kind of what pre-selection is and a general way to kind of apply it to your real life in terms of dating. And then one last thing that I want to say about pre-selection in general is that there's a competition out there between women in society, and most of them want to win. And of course, men compete with each other too, but it tends to be a little different than the way women tend to compete with each other. And so if 50 women are interested in you and you choose her, she's the winner. She gets to feel really good about that. That's another thing. If she's your only option and nobody else is interested in you, and she's the only one for you, she's the only woman out there possible that you could choose, then you're not even really choosing her, and she doesn't get to feel that special feeling of, yeah, you could have been with a lot of different people and you chose her because of who she is as a person. That's another powerful aspect of pre-selection that works for you as well. And when you're on a date and you don't have a lot of options, you can still act as if you do, and it works exactly the same way. Now, on the other side of that, once guys learn about this concept, a lot of people apply it incorrectly and try to do it in ways that actually work against you. So for example, this doesn't mean that you should kind of take selfies with as many women as possible and post it on your social media and stuff and try to show that you're pre-selected. So here's the thing about pre-selection. If a woman gets even a hint that you are trying to show her that you're pre-selected, that lowers her interest, and a lot of times it takes her interest all the way down to zero. Okay? So you don't want to try too hard to show that you're pre-selected and always go out to the club with 5 women on your arm and post 5 million photos of you with women on social media and never photos of you with other guys or your friends or whatever. And always trying to tell her how you went on other dates and talk about other women on your dates. You don't want to do that. All of that stuff actually lowers female interest if she's aware that you're trying to show her that and that it's not kind of real in the background. So we don't want to do that. That's not how you apply it. So how can you apply this concept in your real life in a practical way? Well, I'm going to give you 3 quick ways that you can start doing that right now. And the first one is to ask yourself the golden question. This is probably the strongest way to apply pre-selection at all times. So here's the golden question. Anytime that you're in a situation where you're not completely sure what to do, ask yourself the following question. If I had 8 women in my life right now who were really cool and good looking, and I enjoyed them, and they were genuinely interested in me, and they're calling me and texting me and hanging out with me and wanting to hang out with me more. If I had 8 really good options in terms of amazing women that I could date right now, what would I do then with this woman? So if I had 8 amazing women in my life, what would I do in this situation? That's the golden question that allows you to figure out how to apply this concept of preselection to any situation with a woman. So let's say you're texting her back and forth, and she sends you a text and you're not sure what you should do. Ask yourself, if I had a lot of other good options, what would I do here? Would I be so into my phone trying to text her back every second, no matter what? Every time she texts me, I'm available. Would I be available 24/7 to hang out with her? Or would I kind of yeah, of course I want to hang out with her. And I also have some other options. So I'm going on a date with this other woman tonight. Tomorrow night, maybe I can hang out with her. What would you do if you actually had those 8 good options? And you still liked this person. You still were genuinely interested. So the golden question is, if I had 8 other amazing women in my life, and at the same time I was still genuinely interested in this woman, what would I do then? If you ask that question, your mind will come up with all kinds of good answers about how you should act, how you should carry yourself, your body language, the way you ask her out on a date, the way you take the lead, the way you take risks to go for a kiss, etc. It kind of gives you that safety net in the background of, if it doesn't work out with her, I have other good options. And that makes you more relaxed and confident. And ironically, because you're more relaxed and confident, now she gets more interested in you. So it works for you in a virtuous cycle of, she thinks you're pre-selected because it seems like other women are probably interested in you. And at the same time, because you're acting this way, you genuinely feel more confident and relaxed, and she gets more attracted to you for that reason as well. And so just ask yourself, would you put up with this behavior from her right now if you actually had other realistically great options? If no, then maybe it's time to move on. And if you would just handle it in a specific way, you do that. And just acting that way is going to make pre-selection work for you with the woman that you're interacting with. That's the key. All right, next. Number 2, another way you can make pre-selection work for you is to qualify her. Okay, this is a huge topic. It could be its own video or even its own book or training program, but I'm just going to give you the very basic foundation of qualification. So basically, when most men out there, at least in modern society, are going on dates and trying to attract a woman for one night or for a lifetime, most men are coming from the frame of, I have to convince her to like me. And when you're coming from that frame of, I have to convince her to like me, that's you qualifying yourself to her. And what you want to do, because you're pre-selected, is you want to allow her and encourage her to convince you to like her. Why should you choose her out of all your amazing options? What's special and unique about this woman? And the most interesting thing about this, as long as you're not kind of a D-bag about it, and you're coming from a genuine place of I genuinely want to get to know who you are, what makes you cool, what makes you different from other women, that actually makes her feel really good. She wants to qualify herself to you. She wants you to choose her because of who she is as a person, not just because you like the way she looks. That's important too, but beyond that, she wants to know that you like her for who she is. And so this works in more than one way. It works in terms of, she feels like you're more pre-selected. She feels like you're more confident. You're coming from a better frame. And at the same time, if she's sharing things about herself that make her unique, and then you start to like her more because of that, because of her actual personality, now when you end up with her, she feels like you chose her for who she is as a person. Not just oh, she's really hot, let's try to get her into a relationship, or let's try to get her into bed. You are hooking up with her or deciding to commit to a relationship with her because she's awesome and she's good looking. So this works for you in all kinds of ways. And the way that you do this is, first of all, flip that frame on its head. And when you meet someone, be genuinely curious about her and why you should choose her, why you should be interested in her. Flip that frame from, I have to convince her, to, let's see if she can convince me to like her. So flip that frame around. And here's the honest truth. Whenever you're on a date or you're in a situation like that, both people are qualifying themselves to each other. It's just that most of the time when men are doing it, they only look at one side of it of, I have to convince her. They don't look at her side at all, and that's an incredibly weak frame. So of course, she's going to be looking for certain qualities, and you're going to be showing them to her as well. It's just you're making it a little more even, and now you're both trying to kind of convince each other a little bit. And so you should flip your frame from, oh man, she's the woman, so that means in our society that I have to convince her to like me. That's actually not how it works. And it's much better for you if she is starting to convince you to like her, if she's telling you awesome stuff about herself and you can tell that she's a little bit working for your attention and your affection and for you to like her, that's her qualifying herself to you. And when she's doing that, her interest in you is going up. And it's really great for both of you. So instead of talking a lot about yourself on a date, encourage her to share a lot of things about herself and her life with you on a date. Because when a woman is talking a lot about, especially herself and her life, she actually feels like she knows you better and she feels more comfortable with you, in addition to the fact that pre-selection will be working for you in the background on that. Because you're coming from a frame of, hey, I have a few options out there. I have people that I can be with. What's amazing about you? Why should I choose you? Why should we be together specifically? And ultimately, don't we all want that? We kind of want to be chosen for who we are. So give her that gift. This is a gift to qualify her. It's not something against her. It's not putting her down. It's actually just acknowledging the reality that we all want to be chosen for who we are, especially in general, a woman. So again, flip that frame to qualifying her instead of qualifying yourself to her in general. And then specifically, the way that you do that is to ask her open-ended questions that allow her to talk about herself. So let's say that you've been kind of flirting a little bit, you've been bantering back and forth, you're kind of having fun with each other. Then you can say something like, hey, you know what? You seem like such a cool person. Tell me one thing you secretly want to brag about. That will allow her to tell you something really positive about herself. Or you can say something like, hey, you seem like such an awesome person. So tell me, if you hit the lottery jackpot tomorrow and you never had to work again, what would you do then and why? And so you want to ask her an open-ended question like that, and then you want to let her talk as much as possible. And then when she finishes talking, you can ask her like, hey, is there more about that? Or you can share back something a little bit on your end for a minute, and then ask her another open-ended question that lets her talk more. And a really fun way to do this is to have a fun open-ended question that lets her talk about herself. For example, all right, so I got a question for you. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why? Or if you could be any dinosaur, what would you be and why? Or if you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would that be and why? Those are a little more light and fun ways for her to still talk about herself and for you to get to know each other and for you to qualify her. So this can be subtle, it can be deep, you can do it all kinds of ways, but instead of qualifying yourself to women, when you're on a date or you're having a conversation with a woman, encourage her to qualify herself to you a little bit as well. And then lastly, the third way that you can start applying pre-selection to your life right now is to move slower and react less to the environment around you and the things that are happening around you. So if you actually are full, you have abundance, you have options, you have choices, there's a lot of women coming after you. They're texting you all day long. You're a popular guy with the women. If you're actually pre-selected, it's real. You're not going to react so strongly to different things that she's doing, things that are happening in the environment. You're going to be more relaxed and confident and chill in general. You're not going to be so like putting pressure on the situation, like you need this one option to work out. And ironically, even if you don't have options, if you act like that, she's going to be more attracted to you, even if there's nothing in the background. So you want to always act like this, because sometimes you will have a few options and sometimes you won't have any in the background. And it's okay. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to actually be dating 8 women or to be interested in 8 different women for this to work for you. You can make this work for you with just one woman if you want to be in a committed relationship with her and you're only interested in her right now. You can still apply this by acting as if, even if it doesn't work out with her while you really want it to, you're still going to be fine. And if you take that pressure out of your connection with a woman, the chances of it actually working out with her are so much higher, it's not even close. So you still want to take the lead. You want to ask her out, ask for her number, go for a kiss, etc. But in between all that, in the background, you don't want to have any pressure about a specific outcome at all. Don't even put it on your mind. Yes, you're going to go for a kiss, but you're not thinking about whether or not you're going to get one at the end of the date for the entire second date. You're not just thinking about that one moment and that's it. You're going to enjoy being with her. And then when the moment comes, you're going to go for it and you're not going to stop yourself. But you're going to take that pressure out. And you're not going to start getting worried about whether or not you're going to be in a relationship with her after 2 dates. You're not going to start putting pressure on that at all. Let that go and let her start to get more and more concerned about that over time. And then when she brings up the idea of being in a relationship, now we know her interest level is actually high enough for you to ask her to be in a committed relationship. But we won't know when the right time is until she brings it up without you bringing it up first. So this is another way to make pre-selection work for you, is just take the pressure out of all of your situations with women. Have fun getting to know her and listening to her share things about herself and bantering back and forth with each other and playfully teasing her. Enjoy that process without worrying oh, am I going to get her number at the end of this conversation? Ooh, is she going to kiss me back when I go for it? Now that we're on our second date, I'm going to go for one. Is she going to kiss me or not? Of course, we all feel that a little bit. Just take that down to the lowest volume possible, because the less volume of that is present, the more likely it is to happen. She's going to make it happen too. Again, put that back on her, just like qualifying her. She's participating in this connection too. She wants to kiss you too if she's interested in you and she's comfortable enough. She wants to be in a relationship with you too if you've been out 6 or 7 times and you have a great time and you don't put any pressure on it. And her interest has been going up and up and up because you're following the steps that we talk about inside the Attract and Keeper system, for example. So she's participating in this too. And if you just kind of relax and realize that, then pre-selection is going to be working for you in the background, and her attraction for you and her interest in you are going to go up. And so in general, kind of try to keep your shoulders back and down. You can take longer steps and walk slower. You're still going to get to where you want to go at the same rate. It just looks better. It looks more attractive. You're more in control. You're doing things slower. And you can practice this. Every day when you get out of bed, you can practice exaggerating doing everything slowly. You can slowly move your legs off the bed, slowly walk to the bathroom, etc. And if you move a little bit slower when you're with a woman or you're out trying to meet women, they're going to notice that. They notice this body language stuff, and it's going to make you appear pre-selected, like you already have good options in your life. You're not needy. Pre-selection is not exactly the opposite of neediness, but it's close. I mean, neediness means that you need someone. Pre-selection means you could have a lot of people right now. You don't need anyone. Now you want her instead of needing her, and that's much more attractive. The other thing about moving slower is if someone calls your name, don't whip your head around as fast as possible. Just kind of slowly turn your head. I know that could sound a little strange, but women tend to pick up on this body language stuff a lot, and just try it out and see how it works for you. And then react less to things that happen. So let's say that you really, really like this woman and you're going on your second date. You know that you should go for a kiss by the end of the second date, so you're a little nervous about that. You're pretty sure she likes you, but you haven't had that kiss yet, so you don't know for sure. And you're thinking about that and you're like, oh man, I really, really want this to work out. And you pick a really cool date idea. And let's say you go to that restaurant or the hookah bar or whatever it is that you're going to. And maybe you're driving her there because it's your second date and you offer to take her there. So you show up to that place and for some reason it's closed. If you are too kind of needy and not acting as if you're pre-selected in that situation, you're going to have a bad negative reaction to that because you're putting so much emphasis on this specific outcome and the specific way the date was going to go in your mind. If, on the other hand, you're acting as if you're pre-selected and you're a little more relaxed about it, you're not going to react negatively to that. You're going to have a backup plan, and now you're just going to lead her on that. Like, oh, that would have been so fun. You know what? Let's do this instead. Let's go have an ice cream. Whatever. Always have 2 or 3 backups in your back pocket that you can easily transition to that make you appear smooth when you're on that date and you're not reacting so strongly, even though you did some work beforehand to make sure you had some backup plans. So don't ever go into a date only with one option. Be pre-selected about your date options as well. You should have a couple of other things that you can easily take her to from there in case something goes wrong, because sometimes that's going to happen. And even if you don't, let's say you didn't do that and you're on this date and something happens like that, try not to react so negatively to it. And instead, just calmly say, oh man, that would have been so fun. Give me a second. Let's find something else that we can do. And then just open Google or whatever and look for things in that area or a place to go have ice cream or a coffee or a drink or whatever it is. If you're calm about it, you will find a way to solve it. And it's actually a good test because you'll see how she reacts to things like that happening. And that's going to give you some insight into her character. And again, now you have standards of things that you're looking for in terms of her personality. And this is another chance for her to show you that as well. So you're going to show her how you react well to when things go wrong and you handle it well. And she's going to show you if she does that as well and if you're a good match for each other. And now she's actually qualifying herself to you a little bit in that situation too. So you can both find out about each other in that situation. And of course, if you already have 8 other women who are actually texting you and asking you out, then you are going to handle it that way because it's not that big of a deal. It's like, okay, this date didn't work out. Let's go to this next place. It's not a big deal. You don't have so much pressure behind you. And so the key to all of this in general, to make pre-selection work for you, is to take all that pressure out in terms of where this thing is going. Let her feel that. And the less you put that into your connection, the more she's going to feel that over time. So from now on, just behave as if you have several other really good options and that you're also genuinely interested in this woman at the same time. Even if that's not actually true, just behave as if that was true. And then pre-selection will be working for you. And don't worry so much about trying to post photos of yourself with tons of women and like trying to show her that you're pre-selected. No, just act as if you are pre-selected and you'll be golden. And of course, there are a lot of other things that you can do to raise a woman's interest level. We talked about how pre-selection is one of the 4 things that raise female interest. And the thing about that is once her interest in you hits 9 out of 10 or higher, where she's what we call actually deeply in love with you, and she's genuinely deeply in love with you, then there are just 4 things that allow you to maintain her high interest level as long as you want to be with her as well. So if you know those 8 things and you apply them correctly, if a woman is interested in you to begin with, she will fall deeply in love with you and she will stay deeply in love with you as long as you want to be with her. So if you're interested in that process, then I highly encourage you to grab our best-selling Attract and Keep Her system right now if you haven't already. Again, inside the Attract and Keep Her system, we go over exactly what to do step by step from the first moment that you meet a woman until she falls deeply in love with you and she wants to be in a committed relationship with you. And then until you decide that she's not right for you or you decide to stay with her forever, and how to maintain her high interest level as well. So again, if you want to be in a long-term relationship with a woman, then definitely go to attractandkeepher.com/system. That's attractandkeepher.com/system and grab your copy of the Attract and Keep Her system right now. And if you're not necessarily looking for a relationship at the moment and you want to hook up with women in a way that's good for you and the woman, and you want to apply this concept of pre-selection and other concepts that work in terms of short-term attraction, then I highly encourage you to grab our Good Guy Guide system right now instead of Attract and Keep Her. So inside the Good Guy Guide, we outline the step-by-step process that you should follow with a woman if you're just going for short-term hookups, from the first moment that you notice a woman you're attracted to until she's back at your place or you're at hers, and then of course what to do from there as well. So if that's more what you're interested in, and by the way, if you follow the process inside the Good Guy Guide and you do meet a woman that you want to continue dating, and you end up later deciding that you want to be in a relationship with her, this system sets you up in a way where you can go for hookups. And if you meet a woman that you actually genuinely like and you want to keep dating her, then you can easily transition into the process in the Attract and Keep Her system from there. So if all of that sounds good to you, then go to datingadviceforomenwholovewomen.com/GGG. That's datingadviceforomenwholovewomen.com/GGG, and get your copy of the Good Guy Guide right now. And even if you don't pick up one of those two programs today, we also have a lot of free stuff for you as well. We have lots of articles. Of course, our YouTube channel has a lot of other videos if you want to check those out. And we also have full free courses, programs, and ebooks for you as well. And as a thank you for checking out this presentation, we want to offer you those free courses and programs. And so to get all of that free stuff, go to datingadviceforomenwholovewomen.com. That's datingadviceforomenwholovewomen.com, and you can find all of that right there. And with that, I'm Jim Wolf, and I'll talk to you later.